Let me ask you something. What do you do when someone disappoints you? Especially when it's someone you care about, like a woman in your life. Do you lash out? Do you retreat? Or do you freeze, unsure of what to do next? Here's the truth. Your reaction in that moment doesn't just define the situation, it defines you. What if I told you that the most powerful thing you can do when faced with disappointment isn't to react at all? What if I told you that the real game changer is your ability to accept what's happening, not with anger, not with frustration, but with a calm, unshakable confidence that leaves everyone around you wondering, how is he so unfazed? Because here's the secret. When you stop reacting and start accepting, you flip the script. You become the one in control. And when you confuse her with your acceptance, you're not just showing strength. You're showing her that your peace, your self-respect, and your emotional stability are non-negotiable. This isn't about playing games. This is about mastering your mindset. It's about understanding that the way you handle disappointment doesn't just reveal your character, it shapes your future. So, let's talk about how you can turn those moments of frustration into moments of power. Let's talk about why never reacting is the ultimate move. The power of emotional control in relationships cannot be overstated. It is the cornerstone of how we navigate the complexities of human connection, and it is especially critical when dealing with disappointment. When someone you care about, whether it's a partner, a friend, or a family member, lets you down, your immediate emotional response can either escalate the situation or diffuse it. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about understanding that your reactions have consequences, and those consequences can either strengthen or weaken the relationship. Think about it. When you react impulsively to disappointment, what happens? You might say something you regret, or you might act in a way that creates distance between you and the other person. Your emotions take the driver's seat and logic gets thrown out the window. But when you exercise emotional control, you take a step back, you pause, you give yourself the space to process what's happening before you respond. This pause is where the magic happens. It's where you regain your power. Emotional control is not about being cold or detached. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your feelings are valid, but they don't have to dictate your action. When you choose to respond rather than react, you show the other person that you are in control of yourself. This is incredibly powerful because it shifts the dynamic of the relationship. Instead of being at the mercy of your emotions, you become the one who sets the tone. In relationships, emotional control also fosters trust and respect. When you handle disappointment with grace, you demonstrate maturity and stability. These are qualities that people naturally gravitate toward. They want to be around someone who can stay calm under pressure, someone who doesn't crumble at the first sign of conflict. By maintaining your composure, you show the other person that you are someone they can rely on, even when things get tough. But let's be real, emotional control is not easy. It takes practice. It requires you to be honest with yourself about your triggers and your vulnerability. It asks you to confront the parts of yourself that want to lash out or shut down when you're hurt. And it demands that you make a conscious choice to rise above those impulses. This is where growth happens. Every time you choose to exercise emotional control, you become a little stronger, a little more resilient, and a little more capable of handling whatever life throws your way. The beauty of emotional control is that it doesn't just benefit your relationships, it benefits you. When you learn to manage your emotions, you gain a sense of inner peace. You stop being so easily shaken by external events, and you start to feel more grounded in who you are. This sense of stability radiates outward, influencing not just your relationships, but every area of your life. So, the next time you feel disappointed, remember this. Your emotional control is your superpower. It's what allows you to navigate difficult situations with dignity and strength. It's what enables you to build deeper, more meaningful connections with the people in your life. And it's what ultimately sets you apart as someone who is not just emotionally intelligent, but emotionally unstoppable. Why reacting to disappointment weakens your position is a concept that goes beyond relationships. It's a fundamental truth about human interaction. When someone disappoints you, especially someone you care about, your first instinct might be to react, to express your frustration, your anger, or your hurt. And while those feelings are completely valid, acting on them in the heat of the moment often does more harm than good. Reacting impulsively can make you appear emotionally unstable, and it can give the other person the upper hand in the situation. Think about it. When you react, you're essentially handing over control to the other person. You're letting their actions dictate your behavior. This not only weakens your position, but also undermines your ability to handle the situation effectively. Instead of being the one who sets the tone, you become the one who is swept up in the emotional turbulence. This is why reacting to disappointment often leads to regret. You might say something you don't mean, or you might act in a way that doesn't align with your values. And once those words are spoken or those actions are taken, they can't be undone. Reacting to disappointment also has a way of escalating conflict. When you respond with anger or frustration, the other person is likely to mirror those emotions. What could have been a calm, constructive conversation turns into a heated argument. This creates a cycle of negativity that can be difficult to break. It's like throwing fuel on a fire. It only makes things worse. And in the end, you're left dealing with not just the original disappointment, but also the fallout from your reaction. On the other hand, when you choose not to react, you maintain your power. You show the other person that you are not easily shaken and that you are in control of your emotions. This doesn't mean you're indifferent or that you don't care. It means you're choosing to respond in a way that aligns with your values and your goals. By staying calm and composed, you create space for a more productive conversation. You give yourself the opportunity to address the issue without letting your emotions cloud your judgment. Not reacting also sends a powerful message to the other person. It shows them that their actions don't have the power to disrupt your peace. This can be incredibly disarming. When someone expects you to react and you don't, it forces them to reevaluate their behavior. It shifts the dynamic of the relationship and puts you in a position of strength. Of course, not reacting is easier said than done. It requires a high level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It asks you to pause and reflect before you respond, even when every fiber of your being is urging you to do otherwise. But this is where growth happens. Every time you choose not to react, you strengthen your emotional resilience. You become more adept at navigating difficult situations, and you build a reputation as someone who is calm, confident, and in control. Ultimately, not reacting to disappointment is about more than just maintaining your position. It's about preserving your peace. It's about recognizing that your emotional well-being is too important to be dictated by someone else's actions. And it's about understanding that true strength lies not in how loudly you can express your emotions, but in how gracefully you can manage them. The art of acceptance as a tool for empowerment is a concept that might seem counterintuitive at first. When someone disappoints you, the natural inclination is to resist what's happening, to fight against it, to deny it, or to try to change it. But what if I told you that acceptance is not a sign of weakness or defeat? What if I told you that acceptance is actually one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal? Acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with what happened or that you're giving up. It means you're choosing to acknowledge reality as it is without letting it derail you. This is where true empowerment begins. When you practice acceptance, you're taking control of the narrative. Instead of wasting energy on what you can't change, you're focusing on what you can control, your response. This shift in perspective is transformative. It allows you to move from a place of frustration and helplessness to a place of clarity and strength. Acceptance is not about passively resigning yourself to a situation. It's about actively choosing how you're going to move forward. It's about saying, this is what happened, and I can't change it, but I can control how I let it affect me. One of the most powerful aspects of acceptance is that it disarms the other person. When someone disappoints you, they often expect a reaction, anger, frustration, or even sadness. But when you respond with acceptance, you throw them off balance. You show them that their actions don't have the power to disrupt your peace. This can be incredibly disarming. It forces them to confront their own behavior, and it shifts the dynamic of the relationship. Instead of being caught in a cycle of conflict, you create space for understanding and growth. Acceptance also allows you to maintain your dignity. When you react impulsively to disappointment, you risk saying or doing something you might regret. But when you choose acceptance, you respond with grace and composure. This not only preserves your self-respect, but also earns the respect of others. People are drawn to those who can handle difficult situations with poise and maturity. By practicing acceptance, you position yourself as someone who is emotionally intelligent and resilient. Another benefit of acceptance is that it frees you from the burden of resentment. Holding on to disappointment or anger can weigh you down, both emotionally and mentally. It can cloud your judgment and prevent you from moving forward. But when you accept what's happened, you release that burden. You let go of the need to control the situation or the other person, and you focus on what you can do to improve your own well-being. This sense of liberation is incredibly empowering. It allows you to approach life with a clearer mind and a lighter heart. Acceptance also opens the door to growth. When you stop resisting reality, you create space for learning and self-improvement. You can reflect on the situation and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? This mindset turns disappointment into an opportunity for personal development. Instead of being a victim of circumstance, you become an active participant in your own growth. Ultimately, the art of acceptance is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. It's about choosing to respond with grace, clarity, and strength, even in the face of disappointment. And it's about understanding that true empowerment comes not from resisting reality, but from accepting it and using it as a stepping stone to become the best version of yourself. How confusion can shift dynamics in your favor is a fascinating concept that taps into the psychology of human behavior. When someone disappoints you, their expectation is often clear. They anticipate a reaction. They brace themselves for anger, frustration, or even sadness. But what happens when you defy that expectation? What happens when you respond in a way that is completely unexpected? This is where confusion becomes a powerful tool. By responding with calm acceptance instead of the anticipated reaction, you create a shift in the dynamic that can work in your favor. Confusion disrupts the script. When someone disappoints you, they already have a mental outline of how the interaction will go. They expect you to react in a certain way, and they prepare themselves for that. But when you respond with acceptance, when you remain calm, composed, and unfazed, you throw them off balance. They don't know how to process your response because it doesn't align with their expectations. This confusion forces them to reevaluate their behavior and their assumptions about you. It shifts the power dynamic because you're no longer playing by their rules, you're setting your own. This shift in dynamics is not about manipulation or playing mind games. It's about reclaiming your power and asserting your emotional independence. When you respond with acceptance, you're sending a clear message. Your actions don't control me. This can be incredibly disarming. It forces the other person to confront the fact that they don't have the power to dictate your emotions or your behavior. And when they realize this, it often leads to a change in how they interact with you. They may become more respectful, more considerate, or more mindful of their actions because they see that you're not someone who can be easily swayed or controlled. Confusion also creates space for reflection. When you respond in an unexpected way, it prompts the other person to pause and think. They might ask themselves, "Why isn't he reacting the way I thought he would? What does this mean?" This moment of reflection can be a turning point. It gives them the opportunity to consider their actions and the impact they've had on you. In some cases, it can even lead to a deeper level of understanding and empathy. By creating this space for reflection, you're not just shifting the dynamic, you're fostering growth and self-awareness in the other person. Another way confusion works in your favor is by breaking the cycle of conflict. In many relationships, disappointment leads to arguments, which lead to more disappointment, and the cycle continues. But when you respond with acceptance, you interrupt this cycle. You refuse to engage in the back and forth of blame and defensiveness. Instead, you create a new pattern, one that is rooted in calmness and clarity. This not only diffuses tension, but also sets a new standard for how conflicts are handled in the relationship. Confusion can also enhance your own sense of self-worth. When you choose to respond with acceptance instead of reacting impulsively, you're making a statement about your values and your boundaries. You're showing that you value your peace and your emotional well-being more than the temporary satisfaction of a reaction. This act of self-respect can be incredibly empowering. It reinforces your sense of self-worth and reminds you that you are in control of your own emotions and actions. Ultimately, using confusion to shift dynamics in your favor is about taking control of the narrative. It's about refusing to let someone else's actions dictate your behavior. It's about responding in a way that aligns with your values and your goals, even if it's unexpected. And it's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to remain calm, composed, and unshakable in the face of disappointment. This approach not only shifts the dynamic in your favor, but also sets the stage for healthier, more respectful relationships. Turning disappointment into an opportunity for growth is one of the most transformative mindsets you can adopt. Disappointment is an inevitable part of life, especially in relationships. Whether it's a partner, a friend, or a family member, there will be moments when someone lets you down. But here's the thing, disappointment doesn't have to be a dead end. It doesn't have to leave you feeling stuck or defeated. In fact, when approached with the right mindset, disappointment can become a powerful catalyst for growth, both personally and relationally. The key lies in how you choose to respond to it. When disappointment strikes, your first instinct might be to dwell on the negative. You might replay the situation in your mind, focusing on what went wrong and how it made you feel. While it's important to acknowledge your emotions, staying stuck in this loop only keeps you trapped in the past. Growth, on the other hand, requires you to shift your focus forward. It asks you to look at the situation not as a failure, but as a learning opportunity. What can this experience teach you about yourself, about the other person, about the dynamics of your relationship? These are the questions that open the door to growth. One of the most powerful ways to turn disappointment into growth is by practicing self-reflection. Take a step back and examine the situation objectively. What were your expectations, and were they realistic? Did you communicate those expectations clearly? Were there any red flags or patterns that you overlooked? Self-reflection allows you to identify areas where you can improve, whether it's in how you communicate, how you set boundaries, or how you manage your emotions. This process isn't about blaming yourself or the other person. It's about gaining insight that can help you navigate future situations more effectively. Another aspect of growth is developing emotional resilience. Disappointment can feel like a blow to the heart, but it's also an opportunity to strengthen your emotional muscles. Every time you choose to respond with grace and composure, you build resilience. You learn that you can handle difficult emotions without falling apart. This resilience not only helps you bounce back from disappointment, but also prepares you for future challenges. It's like building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Growth also involves redefining your expectations. Disappointment often stems from unmet expectations, but not all expectations are fair or realistic. Sometimes we place too much pressure on others to meet our needs or to behave in a certain way. Growth means taking a hard look at those expectations and asking yourself whether they're reasonable. Are you expecting someone to be perfect, to always know what you need without you having to ask? By adjusting your expectations, you can reduce the likelihood of future disappointment and create healthier, more balanced relationships. Another way to turn disappointment into growth is by using it as a catalyst for change. Sometimes disappointment is a sign that something in the relationship needs to shift. It might be a signal that boundaries need to be set, or that communication needs to improve. Instead of viewing disappointment as a setback, you can use it as a wake-up call to address underlying issues. This proactive approach not only strengthens the relationship, but also empowers you to take control of your own happiness. Finally, growth is about cultivating a mindset of gratitude. Even in the midst of disappointment, there are often lessons to be learned and silver linings to be found. Maybe the experience taught you something about your own strength. Maybe it revealed areas where you need to grow. Or maybe it simply reminded you of what truly matters to you. By focusing on these positive aspects, you can reframe the experience in a way that fosters growth rather than resentment. Mastering the mindset of calm confidence is the ultimate key to navigating disappointment and maintaining your power in any situation. It's about cultivating an inner state of stability that allows you to respond to challenges with clarity, composure, and strength. This mindset doesn't come naturally to most people. It's a skill that must be practiced and honed over time. But once you develop it, it becomes your greatest asset, not just in relationships, but in every area of your life. Calm confidence is the foundation upon which emotional resilience, self-respect, and personal growth are built. At its core, calm confidence is about trust. Trust in yourself, your abilities, and your capacity to handle whatever comes your way. When someone disappoints you, it's easy to feel shaken or uncertain. You might question your worth, your judgment, or even the future of the relationship. But calm confidence reminds you that you are enough just as you are. It reassures you that you have the strength and the resources to navigate the situation no matter how difficult it may seem. This sense of self-assurance allows you to approach disappointment with a clear mind and an open heart, rather than with fear or defensiveness. One of the hallmarks of calm confidence is the ability to pause before reacting. In the heat of the moment, emotions can feel overwhelming, and the urge to react can be almost irresistible. But calm confidence gives you the space to step back and assess the situation objectively. It allows you to ask yourself, what's really going on here? What's the best way to respond? This pause is where your power lies. It's where you regain control of the narrative and choose a response that aligns with your values and your goals, rather than one that's driven by impulse or emotion. Calm confidence also involves embracing uncertainty. Disappointment often comes with a sense of unpredictability. You don't know what will happen next, and that can feel unsettling. But instead of resisting this uncertainty, calm confidence allows you to lean into it. It reminds you that you don't need to have all the answers right away. You can take things one step at a time, trusting that you'll figure it out as you go. This mindset reduces the pressure to fix everything immediately and allows you to approach the situation with patience and curiosity. Another key aspect of calm confidence is the ability to detach from outcomes. When someone disappoints you, it's natural to want to control the situation, to make the other person see your point of view, to change their behavior, or to fix the relationship. But calm confidence teaches you that you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. By letting go of the need to control the outcome, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and frustration. You focus instead on what you can do, how you can respond, how you can grow, and how you can move forward. Calm confidence also involves practicing self-compassion. Disappointment can bring up feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt, but calm confidence reminds you to treat yourself with kindness. It encourages you to acknowledge your feelings without judgment and to remind yourself that it's okay to be human. This self-compassion creates a sense of inner safety that allows you to face challenges with courage and resilience. Finally, calm confidence is about embodying a sense of inner peace. It's about knowing that your worth is not determined by external circumstances or by how others treat you. It's about understanding that you are whole and complete just as you are, and that nothing can take that away from you. This inner peace radiates outward, influencing how you interact with others and how you navigate the world. It allows you to approach disappointment not as a threat, but as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become an even stronger version of yourself.